This Cosmic might just be one of the most powerful Cosmics we've ever seen. Hey everyone, it's Army Gaming. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Legends. Welcome to an analysis on the newest Golden Legends Pass monster, Diegael. And so this is going to be the Cosmic monster from the Golden Legends Pass for Season 2 of the Cosmic Era. And I gotta tell you, this monster is an absolute beast. He obliterates a lot of the old Mythics and even some of the Cosmics, including the previous Golden Pass monster, Hardy. As many of you may know, I wasn't the biggest fan of Hardy. Yes, he had anticipation. Yes, he had strong damage output and everything. But I felt like there was something missing with him. And now we have this monster, and he is definitely a monster that I can already tell you is worth it. So we're going to go into the Monster Legends lore, and then we're going to go into his skills, and you're going to see why I'm actually so fond of this monster. So let's get into it. Diegeal was a cherub conceived as a heavenly creature whose mission in life was to spread love and joy. However, since he was very young, he watched War Master Elvira and the Legion of Angels fight in the name of justice, and all he wanted was to become a celestial paladin. No matter how many times Elvira and Barbale told him that it wasn't his mission, and he was thinking too big, Diegeal knew he had it in him. I like this. This is like what I preach, right guys? Dream big, pursue your passions, just like he wanted to. After much resistance, Elvira finally agreed to let Diegeal zest Arumel on an adventure in outer space. He parted from heaven but never made it to the galaxy where he was supposed to meet Arumel. Diegeal's disappearance left everyone in heaven devastated. They thought they'd never have his joyful presence again, but suddenly, some months after, Diegeal knocked on the heaven's door. No one could believe their eyes. "Where have you been?" asked Elvira when she hugged him. "I'm sorry I never made it to my meeting with Arumel, but I got caught up in a meteorite storm, and I was completely disoriented. I met these space travelers led by a guy called Vastas. He was amazing. I learned a lot from him, and after him, wouldn't it be cool if he had pierce skills because he learned from Vastas? And after him, I met so many amazing monsters with such interesting stories. The crew of the Curse of the Cosmos, the Space Corsairs, they're all simply outstanding. The problem is that I got so far from home I couldn't find my way back. I was losing all hope when the cosmic explosion happened and I saw a new portal that took me right to the gates of heaven," explained Diegeal to his amazed crowd of angels. Elvira realized that Diegeal wasn't her usual cherub. She called War Master Ramtar and asked him to forge a big sword worthy of the greatest celestial paladin. When it was ready, they held a big ceremony and Elvira declared Diegeal a celestial paladin. As she handed him his new sword, she read the inscription on it out loud: "Think big. Think big, dream big, pursue your passions." I like this monster. Alright, let's see. He's a light attacker with heavy damage skills. He can boost his damage by gaining villain hater. This is what makes this monster stand out. So, spoiler, he has an extra turn villain hater skill. And later I'm going to go over all the villain monsters and why this is so devastating and so powerful. This way he'll deal triple damage against monsters from the villains books. He also has some tortures like Sunburn and Bleed. Gotta love your dots. So enemies don't stand a chance against him. He has an evolving trait. At rank 0, he's Celestial. I like that Social Point is keeping the Celestial trait with all of these angelic monsters. Celestial, for those of you that don't know, is basically Stun Immunity, Mega Stun Immunity, and Bleed Immunity. And he gains immunity to Curse. So I mentioned earlier that this monster kind of like punks on the previous Golden Pass monster. Hardy relies on Curse. This also helps you against Black Feather, the possession monster. You know, that the interesting mechanic with the give you an extra turn. So he does possession cooldowns activation, so you're immune to the curse. And Black Feather has a lot of curse skills, so Hardy and Curse this helps against. At rank 3 you get trade protection. I don't know how useful this is. I think I seem to recall that there's going to be a upcoming cosmic monster that has trade disable. But like in reality, the three mythics that can do trade disable are Ondana, Tiny, and Froma. And as for Ondana, she can actually remove positive effects, get an extra turn, and then trade disable. The other two, while they don't have extra turn skills like that, they do have positive effect removal skills and trade disable. So I don't know how useful this rank 3 trade is, but I mean, considering it's a Golden Pass monster, you're going to be getting it regardless if you do purchase the pass. So trait-wise, I'm honestly not the biggest fan of it, but at the same time, I do like the permanent Celestial because there's going to be an upcoming monster that can do stun and has pierce. So it's nice that you have a trait to protect against that. So I will say that, so far what I've been seeing, I feel like the way Social Point is releasing their monsters, it is actually pretty balanced to where no monster is super powerful. You know, it's not like the whole dodge area taunt mechanic. These monsters are pretty balancing where one monster counters another monster but counters another monster. You know, Kodama gets released with CDA and blocks Resurrection. And then we get a Resurrection monster, so you know they're blocking each other. We just got a monster that can deal earth damage to the enemy team and to your team, but then you partnered up with Rotten, and then you have the ability, he's an earth monster, so he doesn't take as much damage, and then he has resurrection. Then you can also have cleansing skills and life regen skills. So there's a lot of synergy and a lot of monsters working well together, right? So I am really liking this, and how, for example, we have Bombeta, who is a Megaton monster, and then one of the strongest attackers right now is Vanoss, but he has Pierce, so it's not like you can do an AoE against Bombeta with Vanoss, so you lose that. So even though you have an elemental advantage, it doesn't work. So I think right now there's a good balance in which one monster clashes with another monster, so I'm liking it so far. But let's continue. So let's talk about stats. So we'll start off with his life stat. He has 72, 384, which is actually one of the lowest life stats. For the Cosmics, it's actually the lowest right now. It's tied with Thunderkong, Vanoss 2099, Heist, and Kodama. Power stat, 7744. You should recognize this. This is Hardy's power stat. So the highest in the game, tied with Bombeta and Thunderkong. So he is the weakest, in terms of life stat, he is the squishiest, but also the strongest. So his life and power stat is equal to that of Thunderkong, for example. And then his speed stat is 5841. This is tied with Vanoss 2099 and Kodama. It's in the middle. I mean, it doesn't really matter. He's an attacker. He's there to attack. So we talked about his evolving trait. The relics, no surprise, he can hold the sword relic, which, you know, just like Hardy, you know, you become stronger, you can get a laser beam sword. I still like Kane's sword because, especially on a squishy monster, it's nice to be able to deal damage and recover some HP. But most importantly, this monster can hold the essence. That's right, this monster, if he dies, can resurrect. When attackers can resurrect like this, that is menacing, especially when they can give themselves Villain Hater. That is truly menacing. And going back to punking on Hardy, it's funny because if this monster was to go, and first of all, Hardy's a villain monster, so you have triple damage, so you can actually do your extra turn skill. You know what, just talk about it. Think big. Applies Villain Hater and gives 1 extra turn. If you put yourself in a situation where you do think big, and the enemy Hardy goes, and let's say he OTKs you, right? Okay, you resurrect with your relic, so then you can attack him next turn, so it's not even a big deal. But let's say you don't get OTK'd. In that case, you are dealing triple damage against Hardy, so you can do an AoE skill and Hardy's gonna die because it's triple damage. So, I mean, yeah, he punks on Hardy, and like I said, it's not like Hardy can land the curse, so it's not like Hardy can deal just enough damage to where the curse can kill you because you have curse immunity. So I just think it's funny how he actually counters the anticipation monster. So that's funny. But yeah, he can hold revival. That is so good. That is amazing. I feel like we're gonna get to the point where all 3 of our Cosmics have revival and they're all really powerful. Like, can you imagine Black Feather and Diegeal, and they can both hold revival? So you got to kill them twice, and they're powerful monsters. Moving on, he is in the Winged Good Legion's Adventures. So yeah, those are his bucks. All right, basic attacks: Villain Slayer, 40 damage, 0 cooldown. Hey, powerful attack for a 0 cooldown skill. The bigger the better, 20 damage, 0 cooldown. You know, super needed, especially when you have monsters that can activate your cooldowns. What else do we have? Cosmic Mustache. Deals moderate light damage to all enemies, applies bleed. So here's our AoE skill. With your Villain Hater, that would be 90 if you're fighting villain monsters. And right now we're going to go over the villain monsters. But yeah, the bleed is just like a little extra on top of that. It's like poison, deals some damage, but it also reduces damage output by 20%. So that's useful. And it has a 1-turn cooldown, so I like that. We have applies damage boost and evasion to itself. I actually am not a biggest fan of this skill. Potentially could be worth using, especially if you were to get possessed. Hey, maybe you self-skill and now you set up for the next attack. But I think Soldier Point released a lot of monsters that can remove positive effects. We have Ignis, the next team race monster, is also going to remove positive effects. So I don't know how useful it is to set up with an evasion and damage protection. But if the enemy doesn't have a monster that can cleanse, especially in a war scenario, hey, you have yourself a really good setup skill and the enemy's not going to be able to take you down. Alright, think big. So Villain Hater, let's talk about the villain monsters. Well, it's funny because Cyberel, remember the very first Team Race monster? That's a villain monster. But we also have this page from Monster Legends. So Morgs, Diegael, Kralik, Unspeakable, Zorky, Brutalizer, Svart, Tremor. So you'll notice 3 of those are Golden Pass monsters, Diegael, Zorky, and Tremor. Of those, I think you'll probably run to Diegael and Tremor a lot. And then Unspeakable, you could potentially run into him. Definitely Brutalizers. Players maxed out their Brutalizer since he's a pretty meta monster. Svart, you probably won't see that much. He can't hold the revival lessons though. He has total blind, so he's interesting. But I think from this page, definitely Brutalizers one you'll see for sure. Unspeakable, every now and again you'll see him, also like semi-ranked up. And then Diegael and Tremor, I run into them a lot. So it really depends on your league, but for sure, those are some of the monsters. On the next page, we have some more. Glub, the other exclusive monster, I actually don't see him that much. We have Lonrad, for sure you're going to run into Lonrad. Hardy, for sure you're going to run into Hardy. Ignis, Team Race monster for sure. And of course, Bomb Beta, the recent status caster monster. You even have triple damage against them. And Solar Flare, the upcoming exclusive Golden Pass monster. This is the monster that players are going to pay $50 for. And then you got to ask yourself, is it really worth spending $50 on Solar Flare when the $20 Golden Legends Pass monster is going to be able to do triple damage against Solar Flare? Solar Flare is a fire monster. So, you know, Villain Hater, we just talked about our 30 damage AoE, that's 90 damage to Solar Flare. So even in a situation where it's Solar Flare and Hardy, and you do your Think Big skill, once again, if Hardy doesn't OTK you, and you can definitely make it so Hardy can't OTK you, like I think with your life alone, you're not going to be getting OTK'd, you're good to go. Now you do your Cosmic Mustache skill, and it is going to be 90 damage against Hardy and Solar Flare. Just like that. If they have Lonrad too, because they want to resurrect, that's triple damage to the whole team. You know how crazy that is? So, definitely a powerful monster. 3 turn cooldown on this one. Chicken with Onion deals moderate light damage. Oh look! We just got a stronger AoE. 35 damage. Multiply that by 3. That is 35, 70, 105, and Sunburn on top of that. So one of them does bleed, the other one does Sunburn. Obviously you go with a Sunburn, it's a lot stronger. And the stamina cost is not even that high, 46. You know, we've seen some. Hardy has high stamina costing skills. So yeah, this is crazy. Oh wow, I just looked at tier 3. His Cosmic Grandma. Can you believe this monster is going to be killing monsters with his Cosmic Grandma skill? Deals moderate light damage, applies daze. At this point, I prefer Sunburn over daze. But that 40 damage times 3, that 120 damage. Oh my gosh, again. Like, I can genuinely see a Solar Flare Hardy Lonrad team getting decimated with his Cosmic Grandma. I can see an Ignis Hardy Bombeta team. You know, that's popular. His Cosmic Grandma, after giving yourself Villain Hater. It's insane what this monster is going to be able to do. Or look, DL6 deals massive light damage to when enemy applies bleed. 65 damage on a 1 turn cooldown. If you want to, you can do DL6 on turn 1. And next turn, think big and DL6 again. Yeah, he's just a powerful monster. The one thing I'm not sure about when it comes to Bombeta is I'm not in, because it's light on light damage, I'm not sure if your damage output is cut by 50% or if the Villain Hater just overrides it and it's just triple damage right off the bat. Because obviously if you attack Hardy, it's triple damage, right? Because he's magic, you're light, Villain Hater is triple damage. But normally when you attack a monster with the same element, the damage is cut in half because it's the same element. But I don't know if it's Villain Hater and the same element, if it's 150 damage increase instead of triple damage. So we're going to have to see that. I want to verify it before I say anything. But I mean, this monster is a killer. We went over all the monsters, right? Everyone from the last page. Solar Flare, Bombeta, Ignis, Hardy, Lonrad, even Glub you run into. And then Brutalizers you're still seeing. Tremors, Diegeals, Cyber even. This monster is an absolute beast. I mean, it goes without saying, right? You kill him, he comes back with Essence. You give him a Cane Sword, even when he comes back with Essence, he can maybe use the sword to recover the rest of his life. Maybe give him Laser Beam Sword, he packs even a bigger punch than he already packs. He's a phenomenal monster. Long story short, I love how you end. Long story short, he removes positive effects from all enemies, deals heavy light damage, and applies stun. Oh my gosh! You are removing evasions, removing skill mirrors, removing whatever the enemy has. You're gonna heavy light damage everyone. 45 is not a lot, but you're still gonna heavy light damage everyone, and then you're gonna stun everyone. So you're denying with an ult. So contrast this to like Teddy VR, who does pierce and attacks his own team. This is a true attacker. This is a phenomenal monster. I can definitely see a huge change in the monsters from season 1 to season 2, because starting things off with this Golden Pass monster, absolutely insanely ridiculous. I think he is definitely powerful, because a lot of the meta monsters right now, a lot of the monsters that players have, they're villain monsters for whatever reason. There's a lot of strong villain monsters, so this is the killer of the villain monsters. I like him. I really like him a lot. So guys, with that being said, that is my analysis on this monster. I don't really need to say much about the runes, right? Typical attacker rune setup. 1 speed, 2 strength. It's funny because even if you don't have the highest level strength, thanks to the Villain Hater, you don't need the highest level strength. You can even maybe get away with 2 speed, 1 strength, depending, but I think it's usually safer just to go with the 2 strength. He's definitely going to be a good monster. For anyone wondering, is the Golden Legends Pass worth it? Normally, I always say the Golden Legends Pass is worth it just because of the resources you get. Like, everything else, it's worth it, right? Like, I have so many Golden Legends Pass monsters that I never use because, honestly, sometimes I ask myself, would I even buy the pass? I don't need the monster. But this is one where the monster itself is the value. Normally I'm just like, yeah, you get this, you get that, you get this, but the monster itself in this case is 100% the value. And with that being said, guys, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about this monster in the comments below. And with that being said, remember to subscribe.